Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
Nick.
Oh,
Nick
boy.
and Nick.
Yianni.
And Yianni. Here. What's going on, boys?
How you doing, Yianni?
What's going on? All good?
All
Nick,
good.
welcome. It's our
Thank you,
first
brother.
episode together.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
What do you do for a living?
I own a restaurant.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Restaurant Punk.
Thanks, dude.
Nick, what do you do?
Yeah.
All right, so we all own restaurants, right? Do I own it's kind of technically, right? Yeah, kind of, sort of.
I would assume so.
Do you think, I don't know if it's a topic. I just want to kind of throw it out there. How much money do you make at your restaurant? Tell everybody how much you make. Do you pay yourself a check? Or
No.
do you just,
I don't even take
December
a salary.
31st, you just take all the money that's left over and put it in your pocket?
No, I evaluate monthly bills.
Because we want to help future restaurateurs here and talk to people that are in our business.
Okay.
And I think you know a little bit.
I do know a little bit.
Can you just do a quick elevator pitch of your career? Elevator pitch means, does that mean you get in an elevator and you explain
I
in 30
peeled potatoes
seconds?
in my dad's diner.
Were you 6 years old like our Neat goes?
Pretty much. I was using the meat grinder, which I wasn't supposed to either.
At 6?
12.
Thank you.
But at 12, I was like, you know.
Yeah, because
still
our
like
Nico's
6'8".
our restaurant punk keeps saying he's been in the restaurant business for 48 years. I'm like, dude, you're 43. He's like, yeah, I started when I was 6. I was like, this
That
doesn't
is
count.
so true.
That doesn't
That
count.
is so true. Being Greek, that's definitely true.
All right. How about the topic is, how much money can I make in a restaurant?
You could either go
Because
broke.
if I'm scrolling and I say, how much money can I make in a restaurant? I'd like to know.
Well,
You want to do percentages? Let's do percentages.
let's go percentages. 8 to 10% margin.
Says who?
Says me.
I disagree.
I'm sure you will.
Nick, welcome. Are you over under on the 8 to 10%?
Right now,
No, just overall in life when it comes to a restaurant.
I think it depends on your operating style and how long you've been around in the industry and like how far you have gone in terms of like setting yourself up. Now I know like some people who have inherited their restaurants, who like now own the property. It's already paid off.
That's a goal, yeah.
Everything is, done. So that kind of changes
Absolutely.
everything.
Definitely.
And I know
Yo,
other
now you're
people
looking
that-
at it differently.
deal
Well, wait, hold on. There are some major factors that come into play.
But I have an argument for that. But
I
go
have
ahead.
an argument for it too. I love
right,
it.
good.
I love restaurant
Good.
punk. I'd like to say 10% you're average.
Okay.
20% you're good.
You're really
30% you're a genius.
You're a genius. Absolutely.
A genius.
A genius. But
Right.
that usually entails a liquor license.
I
30%.
disagree.
Really?
Yes.
Dude, I'm going to come work for you.
No, I'm going to come work here.
Well, there you go.
Well, you're in a dry town.
Yes.
We're all BYOBs, so we don't with liquor, right?
true.
I've heard horror stories and I've heard some great stories.
Been on both sides.
But the common sense assumption is if you have a liquor license, you're going to make money. We've explored that on some episodes.
Yeah, true.
I have a theory to where if you serve breakfast, you're making the same margins as alcohol,
But only for breakfast.
but only for breakfast.
At those
No.
margins that you're... But there's...
I
Go
can
ahead.
say because it's like on the boardwalk, we have a liquor license, and the liquor license, while it's great having, it doesn't add as much as everybody thinks it adds. Like we always like to say that it is a complement to what it is that we are already doing.
I would say in an establishment that I'd like to say the national average for beverage sales to food sales is 80-20, somewhere
No
along
way.
more or less.
Well, listen, if that's the national average...
80
they don't know
food,
what they're
20
doing.
alcohol. So more alcohol.
I think you need to be... You know where the sweet spot is? 65-35 food to liquor.
Wow. 65-35. Okay, so
That's
that
the
changes
sweet
things.
spot.
That changes things.
It does. You hit 60-40, guess what? You have issues with insurance too now.
So if I'm clearing 8 to 10% on my restaurant that grosses $300,000 a year, that would mean
Well, see,
that
there's the problem. There's where I see it.
Do
If you're
sales make
doing-
everything disappear?
Well, yeah. But I grew up in, right,
Uh-huh.
diner business. And what was the diners established on? Let's get bodies through the door. The masses.
As many as you can.
As many as you can. Right? But like
Right.
the trick is today, though, can you do it at the expectation of the quality of food that is now the new palette of this new world that we live in?
Would you care to take that?
That's the key thing.
Yeah, I hear
That's
what
where
you're
I
saying.
feel like that's where we spotlight our business. We try to do the different and we try to do it quickly,
Okay.
right? Because in the end of the day, nobody wants to wait, right? So,
And are you breakfast, lunch, dinner?
breakfast, lunch, dinner, 7 days a week.
Percentage wise, is it split down the middle? 30, one third, one third, one third. Sales wise, at the end of the year, what's your busiest shift? Is
Actually, I think lunch, but you got to really call it brunch, right? Because there is the breakfast, and here's what I consider the breakfast: the 8 to 10:30 people. Okay,
okay?
the 10:30, 10ish maybe to 2 is your really brunch people. But if you asked that question 15 years ago, I think it would be one third, one third, one third, an expected answer. But today, brunch is the new thing.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah, we've. And
So could you make that same argument about your establishment? Because I know you do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? I mean, is it brunch? Are you getting a table that has a guy getting lunch, breakfast, and the mix?
I would say at our fast casual or more upscale, I would call George's Place. Yeah, that would be
That's
it.
the place I'm thinking about.
But at our higher end places, we call it brunch.
Right.
It's a classier move.
Right.
Do you use the term BYOB in your signage or marketing or anything like that? Do you really like? Because we put a big emphasis on BYOB. I feel that BYOB, you're telling
It
people
does draw
that.
people. But I kind of sell wines, but I'm a dry town. So
Okay. So you sell
welcome to
wine.
New Jersey again,
Local wine.
It has
or
to be
beer.
a New Jersey
New
vineyard.
Jersey. Okay.
right?
All right.
It has to be a New Jersey vineyard. They give them, now this is like a whole new program. I don't know if it's ABC or Department of Agriculture, but it's like some program that allows like local New Jersey vineyards to have 15 retail licenses. So basically they're selling it to you
15, okay.
consignment. We don't really make much money on it at all. It's there for those people who come into our town that think, can I order a glass of wine, and be like, no, I'm sorry, we're a dry town. Now we have a bottle to sell you. But we confuse them when we tell them.
Yeah. See, we tried that before and it didn't work. And they told me how much I could charge. I couldn't charge whatever I wanted.
No, you can't.
And I'm like,
It's a prefixed price.
yeah,
I
I'm
know.
like, no, we're done.
I know.
Relationship over.
But it actually works for me. But I can't say it hasn't worked for others.
So if I'm a restaurateur and I say, I want to open a restaurant, but I want to do 15 to 20%. I don't want to do 8 to 10%. How would you say that the deal constitutes? I think Nick brought up a great point. You know, are you paying a mortgage? Are you paying rent that's increasing year over year at 3 to 5%? Or do you have a property that's paid off and you don't have to pay mortgage or rent? Does that make a deal? And when I say sales make everything disappear, when we talk about like control your controllables,
Right.
there are certain fixed costs that don't move.
I run it like two different businesses. That's the thing.
What do you mean?
So my real estate that the restaurant leases from me is a different business as far as I'm
Ooh.
concerned. Because listen, you have to look at it in two businesses, Yianni. You know why? Because what if I said, I'm going to just lease out the restaurant instead? That's still my investment. That's my investment portfolio.
Can you say
follow
that
me
again
where I'm
slower
saying?
for our listeners too? Because if I'm not catching what you're saying,
Well,
I'm
I
assuming
consider
some
it part of
that
my investment portfolio.
So you're-
the real estate is separate from the restaurant, because whether I'm leasing for myself or I'm leasing from somebody else, I'm still only, like you said, 8 to 10. However, what it does do for you is if you're doing this in your early years and you're acquiring real estate, right? You're creating cash flow so you can now purchase these pieces of real estate over the years, right? So the restaurant does do that for you, but it's still 8 to 10% as far as I'm concerned, right? If you're doing the style of business that I'm doing, right? So I'm taking the diner concept, improving on it, right? Let's just be honest.
We are as well.
I grew up.
We are as
I grew
well.
up in the diner business, right? You come to my place, you get 2 eggs over light, home fries, and bacon if you want. Or you come in and get an avocado toast, or a bacon jam grilled cheese, or a lobster grilled cheese, right? I took what we grew up in, right, and improved upon it, right? I'm moving volume, right? That's how I look at my industry. I've tried it. I've tried fine dining. For me, this is what I was better at, honestly. Certain people are cut out for different things. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, like, so I operate at those margins roughly, right? Been doing it for 14 years. It's been successful, but I must maintain that volume.
You must maintain that volume.
Must maintain that volume.
Okay.
And what does that do? To your point, as far as the real estate goes and how much you're paying rent, a lot of that is all relative, right? Obviously. Where do you become a little bit more profitable? Is that empty seat in that restaurant. The less it's empty, the better those margins will become. It's key.
Sales.
Sales make everything better.
I feel like they make everything disappear. And I preach that if you have some fixed costs, those fixed costs will always be there. You just talked about, I believe you mentioned insurance. Your insurance went up 10 grand. right?
Well, yeah.
But for the most part, you're still in the same ballpark. So if you're in the $25,000 range and your sales, because insurance, is that based on sales? Is liability insurance
Yes, it
based
does.
on sales?
Yes, it is.
So do our listeners all know about that?
No,
Are they
don't.
No. You
You
mentioned
get audited the next year. Do you even want to talk about the workman's comp? That's a whole other situation.
that's a whole episode.
That honestly really is.
But, technical things like this, when it comes to Restaurant Punk, I think this is where we can bring value. When we start talking,
Definitely.
when we start getting technical and
Definitely
giving
what people don't know.
Absolutely. And we
no
want to
question.
share what we don't know. And sometimes I don't know how to articulate it.
Right.
I think, Nick, you're excellent at it. I think you're better than me articulating, but no, I'm listening. I'm listening to you and I'm like, keep going, brother. Don't stop.
Well,
because at 8 to 10, I can
That's the experience.
What's that?
I'm not saying I'm experienced, but as you get older,
you are
No, I
absolutely
am.
experienced.
But there's people that are more experienced.
I'm fascinated with
and I learn every day.
I'm
That's the key
fascinated. I'm
thing.
going to ask you after the episode about the real estate and the restaurant.
sure.
I'd still like to touch on that a little bit because I don't think I fully got that. Did you fully get that? Operating the real estate and the business as two separate businesses?
I mean, I started to get I got what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
I got the fundamental of what he's saying.
Okay.
So he's operating the real estate as its own business.
has
And then
to be.
as the restaurant, he's paying the real estate its part and it's its
fair
own
market
separate
value.
business.
This is
Right.
true.
Okay.
It's breaking it down into the categories of it.
All right. Do you pay yourself a paycheck?
No, actually.
You
I
do
don't.
not.
I don't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And your accountant agrees?
My accountant recommended it.
Your accountant recommended it.
Yeah.
Ours recommended the opposite.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually the theory has changed, but I mean, so I'm an LLC, right?
Are you an S corp?
I'm not an S corp. I'm
Okay.
two LLCs. The real estate's one
The
LLC.
real estate is a holding company.
Is also a holding company, and so is the business. So basically, what I do is at the end of the month, me and my partner look at the bills. We're good. We have a certain amount of savings. If we cross over that savings, that's what we draw.
If you cross over that, so
I
you have a
always-
system.
I have a system.
It's consistent.
But yet the system came with getting burnt 15 years ago, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? You learn.
Well, how are you going to learn? You get burnt.
You get
You
burnt.
know, we have some
definitely.
people in our group that it's struggling, but they're in year
Truthfully,
one.
if you don't get burnt, you
Yeah.
eventually don't become successful.
No, eventually you are 46. I'm 47. We've roughly been doing this the same amount of time.
Yep.
At the end of the day, experience.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to articulate experience to when I'm talking to somebody, and I think I've lost my patience with going back to basics because I so want to move forward and keep going
Right.
that sometimes I get pulled back into dumbness. And I feel when I get pulled back into there, my brain just kind of shrinks. And I forget about these things. So I heard you talking. And I'm like, wait, what'd you say? 8 to 10%? You talk about profit? And then some things are coming out of your mouth that got me fired the up because that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear, Nick. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Listen, the thing is,
Aren't you going to complain about anything? What's your
I'm
complaint?
not
No,
gonna
no
complain.
complaint?
What about the restaurant business? I'm an idiot, or you're an idiot, but
We're a bunch of idiots.
we're a
Hence
bunch of
Restaurant
idiots who love what we do.
How could you, one thing you would pick for somebody to be more profitable, if they had a chance to get that 8 to 10% and it had nothing to do with the deal, would you focus on labor, food cost? Actually, I'll leave it at those two, labor or food cost.
Actually, I think you're wrong for leaving the third out. The
Yeah.
third is key. The last third is your overhead.
Isn't that, you're talking about,
See, this is how I look at things: food costs,
uh-huh.
labor costs, and overhead.
Now, overhead
In
to
that
me is pretty
overhead
broad.
last third, how I look at it, mind you, this might be an old school Greek thing. It's maybe my dad the way he taught me, right? The one third rule doesn't work anymore, truthfully. But in that last third, technically speaking, when I grew up, this is how my old man explained it. It's that last third. How much are you going to keep your overhead? Keep bodies in the seats, move people, get volume, get people through the door. That's where you fix that last 8 to 10%. Correct? So that's why I think it's wrong to leave that 1/3 out. However, the other two are crucial too.
So
Obviously,
if you had
can't
to pick, because I feel like overhead, we could do a deep dive into
Yes,
about 10 different
definitely.
things coming to overhead.
Yes, true.
If we were to give advice to anybody watching or listening before they open their first restaurant or they're currently in a restaurant and they want to get that extra 2.5% edge, would you advise them to focus more on the food cost or more on the labor cost? Nick, what do you think?
I'm trying to do it myself right now.
I know.
I'm actively
I
working
know.
on that right now.
I know.
You know,
So what's the
physically.
answer? Food costs or labor costs?
I'm trying to attack both at the same time. It's crazy. I'm
Because in your
honestly,
head, you know, you beat yourself up on either one.
Yeah.
Because food costs, right? So food costs is what? Shopping? Better pricing?
Food costs, we're focusing now on how much we're putting on the plate.
Like portion control.
Okay, that's different. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you're right. But that should always be incorporated.
Right. You know, so we looked at raising the prices as long as we're giving a percentage of that back to the customer or enhancing the dish.
Right.
You know,
I have the same theory on that.
So like one of the, like, for example, right? This is like a stupid example, but it's an example. So I just bought 1.5 ounce ramekins, right?
To say
and I use
0.5.
those instead of the 2.5 ramekins, right? So it's an ounce difference. And if you break down like a ketchup can, in theory, I should get like 75
ramekins,
1.5 ramekins out of that can of ketchup. That I'm just like, this is a giveaway product that I'm giving away. So with the 2.5 ounces, I'm only getting like 45 ramekins. I mean, it's like,
and listen, I love that too. And I'm the last person to do that. But at the end of the day, it makes sense because they can always ask for more.
They can get more. But I mean,
you know what I mean?
It's like items that, you know, I continually see like come back too. Like these are like small things that like I see like come back on like the plate. People aren't using them. So my idea was I'm giving them that anyway. Like I'm not offering it. You get it.
Right.
You always get ketchup. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that I want to give to all
and I
of
find
my
if you
tables.
get like the staff into that and that mindset, they'll start being a little more mindful of what's going out.
But that's another thing too. Like I try to talk a lot of times to my staff and I try to like explain those kinds of things to them and like what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So this way they have a better understanding.
Yeah, but I like that. You actually take the time to explain and walk them through it and nurture it. And I just go, do it.
I understand that.
Just
but
do it.
Right. And I know that that's good too.
What's good?
But
my way?
Yeah, your way, because that's
I don't know if it works as much as it used to.
That's how I was.
And I'm referring back to the old days because
the just do it, get kicked up the ass. That's how I'm used to things getting done for me. Like I just got kicked up the ass.
That's it. Just fucking do it.
7 days a week.
I'm not gonna sit there and I'm watching you like talk to them and doing a classroom and everybody's sitting down. I'm like, Jesus Christ,
to try something a little different.
Listen, it's great.
Listen, when you figure that out, let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know.
He's very patient. I've seen him snap, but he's very patient.
I feel like sometimes if you take a little extra time with the employees and like you try to guide them through some of those kinds of things, that they get a better idea of what it is that you're trying to do.
Oh, I can't wait till you pop. It's going to be about a year and a half, 2 years from now. You're just going to be like,
you know. How long have you been doing this for?
Huh? Nick's been OG.
I always joke and say I was born under their steam table, Memorial Day weekend. But I mean, pretty much, yeah.
You're extremely patient. I've already lost it. Wait, here's the answer. How old are you?
I'm 30.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, that's
That's why.
No, I understand
kids?
that. No kids.
No wife?
Nope.
Oh, that's why.
That's
Ready to rock. Good to go.
No wife, 2 boys, done. That's it, brother. And I'm
been through it all.
I'm flying out to Athens tonight. I'm out of here. No patience. You want to go?
I'd love to.
Let's get the out of here.
I'd love to.
So, if you want to make an extra 2.5% of your business,
portion control, definitely. I'm going to have to agree with him on that one.
Bullshit. Focus on your labor, because if you look in your kitchen right now, your cooks are not doing dick.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm Yianni.
Well,
no, we're out. That's it. It's over.
No, it's not over.
I'm done.
You're not
it's
getting
over.
less worthy.
That's not the fucking passion. What's your book? That's what we do. And it's 18%. It's not 8 to 10%. Do it. Out.
Kind of smells, Mike.
Yeah.
Somebody licking this fucking thing.
What you got? What do you want?